Okay, good morning everyone. Shalom Aleichem, Bruchim Abam. We are continuing Mishna Berura Daf Hashavua. We're learning Siman Kuf Tes Din Eich Yisnaheg Hayachid Lechavin Betfilasei Imat Tzibbur. How can an individual accord himself to be mechavin his tefillah with the Tzibbur? Says Mishna Berura, says Mechaber, Hanichnas the basic ness, someone who entered a shul matzah Tzibbur mispalan, and he finds that Tzibbur are davening. Im yachal lahaschel v'ligmar kodim sheyagia shliach Tzibbur lekedusha. Someone who enters the Beis HaKnesses and he finds that Tzibbur is davening, if he could begin and finish before the Sheikh Tzibbur gets to Kedusha and Kaddish, he could daven. Okay, we're learning a very important halacha here, and that is, at all costs, a person needs to hear Kaddish. Needs to hear Kedusha and Kaddish. Therefore, if you come late to davening, and you're lagging behind, and you figure, okay, I'm behind, let me start my Shemone Esrei now. No, you can't start your Shemone Esrei. If you're not going to finish in time to hear Kedusha, you can't start. So what do? You got to wait until after Kedusha to start. Now, if you're a long davener, and you're starting with the Tzibbur, okay, dems are the breaks, because more important than saying Kedusha is davening with a minyan. And the definition of davening with a minyan is starting Shemone Esrei with the Tzibbur. As we've mentioned many, many times, you could come an hour before davening, and you could say Ma Toivu, Yigdal, Adonai Olam, all the karbanos, and you could be completely clueless because you're lagging behind and you don't start Shemone Esrei with the Tzibbur. The main purpose of going to shul is to start Shemone Esrei with the Tzibbur. All other conduct needs to be evaluated based on the objective of starting Shemone Esrei with the Tzibbur. But if you're coming late anyway and you're not starting Shemone Esrei with the Tzibbur, then you cannot start if it means you're going to miss Kedusha. Says Rama, "V'adin amein dohakel hakadosh v'shemei tefillah dinan kekadosh kedusha." Not only do you need to say Kedusha, you also need to say amein of hakel hakadosh and amein of shemei tefillah. Now this is, so to speak, a big dilemma for those who daven along Shemone Esrei. Because is it really the right thing to daven Shemone Esrei? If you come late and you're now to start because you're going to miss Kaddish and Kedusha, then why are you even allowed to daven along Shemone Esrei? We have to see the Be'er Halacha. The Be'er Halacha says, Nista pakti. Imiderach tivai laharach betfila. If you daven along Shemone Esrei naturally, ve'enu yachal asayim ad Kedusha, imuter lahaschil. Could you even daven? Maybe you should just sit there until they finish Kedusha. Umikan ein raya le'isr. Don't bring a raya from this halacha l'mechaber that in fact you're not allowed to. The efsher dezel lav tu tzibur gemura mikri. It's because if you start late, it's not really called tefillah b'tzibur. Me'acher shalei hischal iman b'shava, since you didn't start with them at the same time. Chumash kasav prima gadav. Avla maschal b'shava efsher kiven da'ata chalal of hachiyav l'sval b'tzibur. But if you started at the same time, it could be since now it's chal on you the chiyav to down with the tzibur. The chiyav aniyas hakdusha le'isata ein alav. Right now, the Tzibbur is starting Shemone Esrei. So you have a chiyuv to start with them. The chiyuv to answer Kedusha is not on you right now. Maybe ein loy lachosh klal, you don't have to be concerned, lamasha achar kach, to what will happen afterwards, that lo yia yachal l'kayim mitzvah, the adifa mizeh, that you won't be able to be mekayim a mitzvah, that's even greater. Meaning now the Be'er Halacha is saying a whopper of a chiddush. As big of a mitzvah as it is to daven with the minyan, it's a bigger mitzvah to answer Kedusha. As big of a zechus it is to daven with a minyan, and to start Shemone Esrei with the Tzibbur, it's a bigger zechus to answer Kedusha. So you say, well, if it's a bigger zechus to answer Kedusha, maybe I'm not allowed to start my Shemone Esrei even at the same time as the Tzibbur, if it means I'm a long davener, I'm going to miss Kedusha. So the Be'er Halacha says maybe, but maybe not. But if it's a bigger mitzvah, then how am I allowed to do it? The answer is because you have to do what's incumbent upon you in the moment. And in the moment, what's incumbent upon you is to start Shemone Esrei with the Tzibbur. It means later I'm losing out on a bigger mitzvah. Well, the dems are the breaks. And also at the time, when they get up to Kaddish and Kedusha, I'll be an oinus. Don't bring a raya that you could be lenient. Mimad dinakan haGemara, from that which the Gemara picks and says, umatzat tzibur mispalelin. You know, the case of the Gemara is someone who enters a shul and he finds the Tzibbur davening. So the question is, could he start? Why didn't the Gemara pick a bigger chiddush? That a guy who's starting with the Tzibbur but will not be able to finish in time, he shouldn't start. Maybe the Gemara picked a regular case. The bottom line is, the Bir Halacha does not give a conclusion. He says maybe if you're going to daven a long Shemone Esrei and you're going to miss Kedusha, maybe you're not allowed to start. You hear this? Maybe you're not allowed to start. He knows. He does it every day. The guy misses Kedusha every single day. Yeah, every day. Now, Chazon Ish and Rabbi Yosef Chaim Zonefeld says, you're allowed to. You're allowed to. You're allowed to daven along Shemone Esrei. That's definitely the minhag among Bnei Yeshiva. However, yeah, let's say like this. Let's say you'll be able to daven with kavana, but you'll have to cut it short. Or you could daven a really long Shemone Esrei. Perhaps it sounds like you should cut it short. What if you want to say Shalom Rav in order to abbreviate your Shemone Esrei, in order to answer Kedusha? So the Dirshu brings from Chaim Kanievsky, he asks the Chazon Ish, and the Chazon Ish says no. The Rav Shlomo Zalman said no. Says Rav Chaim Kanievsky, let's say a Kohen wants to duchen, and he's not going to have time. Could he say Shalom Rav to abbreviate the Shemone Esrei to have time? No. However, the Adara says you could. Are you allowed to skip B'Sefer Chayim, Bracha V'Shalom, Farnasa Tova, in order to answer Kedusha? And everyone's looking at me, what? Just because I know, because you're expert in saying the words at lightning fast speed. So you say, like, why would you have to do that? But since you actually have to say the words, and every word takes time, so the shaila is, could you skip a Sefer Chaim? No. What about like this? You come late to shul, and so I'm not going to start the Shemone Esrei because I don't want to miss Kedusha. Let's say I could chap arayin the Shemone Esrei after Kedusha, but I won't finish in time for Berchas Kohanim. Let's say in Eretz Yisrael or a Yom Tif. Am I allowed to daven and miss Berchas Kohanim? No. You have to wait until after. Okay? Fine. So that's the Shaila of Bir Halacha, even before we began the Mishnah Buras. It says the Mishnah Buras, Nichnas Beis HaKnesses, Roitza Lotzeis L'Spala Ba'azara, Chutz Beis HaKnesses, Mispala V'Ein Tzarech Lahamtin. This halacha, that you're not allowed to daven unless you're going to be able to answer Kedusha. This halacha is if you're going to be standing in the shul and not saying Kedusha. But you don't have to. You could go out and daven outside and you don't have to wait. So the question is, what do you mean? Don't you have to hear Kaddish and Kedusha? So Rav Moshe says you have to understand this Mishnah Berura. Meaning from this Mishnah Berura, it sounds like the problem is not that I'm going to miss Kaddish and Kedusha. It sounds like the problem is I'm going to be standing in a shul and not being able to answer Kaddish and Kedusha. Rav Moshe says that's not the pshat. The pshat is the guy's in a rush. And if he goes in the shul, he can't start because he's going to miss Kaddish and Kedusha. Meaning, we're talking about a case that if he would remain in the shul, he would have to, he wouldn't be able to leave early because he would have to wait for Kaddish and Kedusha. So if he needs to, so to speak, leave quickly, we tell him to daven outside. Why can't he daven inside and just miss Kaddish and Kedusha? What's the problem? I guess he would have to wait and be silent for that, and he doesn't have time to do that. Tzibbur mispalim. Zeh hasif mari b'tfilas hamincha. This whole sif is talking about tfilas hamincha. Why? Because there is no case of a guy coming late to shul and he's saying, "Oh, should I start Shemone Esrei now?" What do you mean? If he's coming late, he has to say Psuke. Does he has to say Baruch Sha'amar Ashrei Yishtabach Shema Berchus Kriya Shema? So I'm not sure why the Mishnah Berura though says we're talking about mincha. Why can't it be shachris if he already said these things? He says v'adin b'shachris haya oimed b'kriyas shema b'cheseh b'shash hatzibur shema. You were up to kriyas shema and the brachas when the Tzibbur began Shemone Esrei. If you could begin and finish the tefillah before the shots reaches Kedusha, Yispalo. Otherwise, Al Yispalo, Rak Yamtin b'Shir Chadasha. Just wait by Shir Chadasha. Look what we wrote later on in the name of the Chai Adam regarding this. Shleach Tzibbur. The Kedusha also lam Rabbi Yachid. You're not allowed to say Kedusha b'Yachid. V'chein Kaddish u'moidim, and the moidim taima. The reason why, by the way, we're going to see that if you don't have time to answer moidim is the tzarich lishchos emakol. You're going to have to bow with the Tzibbur. Shaloi heiner k'karfer b'mishatzir mishtachim. So it doesn't look like you're a heretic and you're denying the one who the Tzibbur is bowing down to. We're going to see the Mechaber is going to continue. If you entered after Kedusha, if you could finish before Moedim, you could daven. Oile Kaddish. Let's begin Sivkat and Daled. Oile Kaddish. What does Mechaber mean? You could finish, if you could finish before Kedusha or Kaddish. What do you mean, or Kaddish? If you finish before Kedusha, obviously you'll get Kaddish. L'chayra kivin d'tzach ligmar tfilasa kadim Kedusha, kol sheken sheyishma HaKaddish achash Shemone Esrei. Says the Mishnah Berura, Yeshomer d'mayri b'marev d'leka Kedusha. We're talking about marev, where there is no Kedusha. Or, Yunami Mari Shikvar Shama Kedusha, or we're talking about we already heard Kedusha, Mishum Kedusha lo tzarich lahamtin, and you won't have to wait out Kedusha. Chumash nichtav l'kaman, the mikol makom tzarich ligmar kadem Kaddish achash Shemone Esrei. Nevertheless, you have to finish before Kaddish after Shemone Esrei. V'hainu sheyigmar al kopanim kadem sheyagia shel Tzibbur v'hei Shmei Rabbah. That is, you need to finish before the shots gets to Amin Yehi Shmei Rabbah. V'lo yana Amin az rak Yehi Shmei Rabbah bilvad. Wow. If you are finishing Shemone Esrei and you just said Yiyu l'ratzain, or you just finished Shemone Esrei, so you didn't hear the Yiskadei v'Yiskadei Shmei Rabbah v'Yamal Divrachus Arim Lich Malchusei. All you heard is Bagalos Mankrev Imru Amen. But you can't answer Amen, because you didn't hear what the Amen is going on. All you can answer is Yehi Shmei Rabbah. Mitam de kiven doli miskavin az amal loymar ha'amen. Since you're not being mechavein to what you're answering Amen to, mikri Amen yisoyma. You hear this? If you just finish Shemone Esrei and the Tzibbur is saying Amen Yehi Shmei Rabbah, you cannot say the word Amen, because the word Amen is going back on the whole Yiskadei v'Yiskadei Shmei Rabbah v'Yamal Divrachus Arim Lich. You didn't hear that. You can't answer Amen. You could say with them Yehi Shmei Rabbah. V'im noisein liba, if you paid attention, v'yadei az ama oina Amen, and you know what you're answering. Amen Rasha, you're allowed to. Okay, we're going to hold it over here, Rabbi Sai. And I'm going to tell you upcoming schedule.